In this video, you will learn how to set up pop-up display rules. As you already know, there are 10 types of forms in Plerdy, and while the design of those forms is different, the display rules are all the same. Let's take a closer look at some. So when you're done with the design, switch to the second tab, Display Rules, which consists of 5 parts. First one is Shortcut Button Settings. If you activate this setting, the pop-up form will appear when the user clicks on a button. You can add the text and choose the font size, color, and style of this button. Under the text, you can also turn on some additional settings. You can decide to continue displaying the button when the user closes the form, or you can decide to expand this form from the button. And the last part here is choosing the form placement. There are 8 options for displaying it. Next part is when to show settings. Here you can define certain criteria that should be met in order to display the form. First is the exit intent rule. If you turn on this toggle, the pop-up form will be shown when the user is about to leave the website. Next is the calendar. You can select a specific period of time during which the pop-up form should be running. In the after click part, you can add the number of clicks the user should make on the website before the pop-up is displayed. Similarly, you can define the scroll depth, which is defined here in percentages. If you turn on the scroll up setting, the pop-up will be shown when the user moves up the screen. In the page visit part, you can define a specific number of pages that user has to visit in order to see the pop-up. The smart display timer allows you to set a specific time spent on the website after which the pop-up is displayed. This can be from a few seconds or minutes. However, remember here that the smart display timer will not work if you have enabled the page exit intent because these two settings are mutually exclusive. If the user closed the pop-up form, you can decide when it can be displayed for this user again in the repeat after setting. Remember that pop-up forms should not irritate the user, so it is good practice to set up some days here to make a pause, and in case a user visits your site multiple times, he or she is not annoyed. This is also possible to display a pop-up after a user clicks on a specific element on your website. This may seem similar to the first part of this setting, the shortcut button. However, compared to that option, here you need to already have the button or other element added to your website design. You need to get a unique class or ID of that element and paste it here. Then, when a user clicks on this element on your site, it will trigger the pop up. Now we move to the traffic groups. Here you can select on which device type this pop-up should be shown. You can also define the traffic sources. Device type and traffic source allow multiple choices, so you can select a few options. Then you can also narrow down the target users by selecting the operating system, the user groups, the country. Here you also have the multiple choice and user behavior, whether it should be new users or returning visitors. After you're done with the traffic groups, move to the where to show settings. In this part, you need to add the pages of your site on which this pop-up should be displayed. You can add the exact URLs or use the contain option and add the part of the URL or the word in title and press a plus for each entry. If you have a long list of exact URLs, you can add them in bulk. With this button, add a list of exact URLs. In this part, you can also add the language cookie. It is needed when there is no language part in the URL. And also set up the rule to display the pop-ups by a presence of specific text in the block. This rule can be very helpful if, for example, you have an online store and you want to set up a pop-up for a concrete group of products or users. It can be, for example, out of stock products. And you want to show the pop-up on such pages with a message like, this product will be back soon. Meanwhile, check out some of our new arrivals. To set it up, you don't need to manually add all products that are out of stock, but just use this rule and add the class of the element and the concrete text in this element that is the same on all pages. You need to cover in the example on all pages with products that are out of stock. If you want, you can use the same word to show settings for all of your forms. For to do so, you need to turn on this global rule toggle. Also note that if you don't add any rules in this part, your pop-up will be displayed on all pages of the site where the Plerdy tracking code is added. The last part of display settings is form placement. There are 9 different options for where your pop-up can be displayed. Select the one that works best for your site. As you see, there are a lot of options. However, we recommend adding fewer rules or a maximum of 2 at a time because the pop-up form may rarely appear if there are too many rules. In order to trigger the pop-up display, all rules that you're adding here must be followed. After you finish setting up the display rules, open the next tab, Settings. Here you can complete some final steps and activate the form. You can choose whether you want to have a close button on your form and to show the form after closing. It is also possible to add here specific IP addresses for displaying the pop-up, or you can use this setting to test your pop-up with your own IP. If you select My IP, activate the form, go to your website and meet the requirements that you have set up to trigger the pop-up form and test if everything works smoothly before launching the form for all visitors. It is best to test it in Chrome Incognito. If you close the pop-up once, it will no longer be shown to you. Other than that, if you're using the virtual pages and events for Google Analytics 4, you can also set it up here to ensure the most accurate tracking. When everything is done, activate the form and press Save. There is only one tab left in these settings, and this is the Embed tab. If you don't want the form to be displayed like a pop-up, but you need it to be a part of your site's page, you can easily do it. Turn on this toggle here, copy the code, and embed the form. If you do so, the display rules are ignored. You don't need to set them up. The pop-up form will be shown on the pages of your site where you add this iframe. It is similar to pasting the YouTube video with iframe. Once you completed the setup for your form and it is up and running, you can check the form report. For more information on how to check the pop-up form reports, proceed to the next video.